Will Smith's ass in iRobot. As I said, I'm a sucker for straight men. I'm opening those new Converse. Waiting for my water to boil so I can have a cup of tea. Even though my chest does feel a little strange. Tea doesn't have nearly as much caffeine in it as coffee does. I had to give coffee up because of the acidity and the caffeine level. Uh. And of course, Max, now that he's older, I swear he has some form of dementia too, because he just wanders around all the time. It makes me a nervous wreck. He's always been a dog that stays right around, kind of like how German Shepherds are. You know, they're very protective. He's a little Jack Russell, but man, he'd probably kill somebody if they were after us or something. Then the new Scream's on again. I don't know if I'd rather watch it or the iRobot. That iRobot movie's pretty good. I think I see some steam coming out of the kettle. Thank God my bedroom is off of the kitchen. God knows. Anytime I get in an upright position, especially after laying down, like at night sleeping, I have to literally crawl to a chair and sit there for a while just to let things renormalize. And it's not a hangover. It's not just being, hypochondriac. Ugh, I don't feel well. It's syncope. It's craziness. It's all a bunch of bullshit. They say that traumatic brain injuries, you do get somewhat better over time, and that's true. I no longer have to get down on all four to go up and down stairs. My family just thought that was hilarious. Look at him pretending to be a dog. No, I have to get down on all fours to get up and down the stairs or else I'll fall. That's a pretty serious fucking medical condition, symptom. However, who the fuck cares? What we went through. Yeah, my apologies that your father and mother were crazy just like you all are. The story goes that my aunt went deaf because my mother's parents wouldn't take her to the doctor when she had such a high temperature, scarlet fever or something, and she lost her hearing. It's not like they couldn't afford to, they just chose not to. I know of a few other people who lost their hearing because their parents just decided, healthcare is of the devil or whatever. The way I interpreted their messages were, it's God's will, and if the elders are old enough to get Medicare, then they deserve to start seeking medical treatment. You can go back through the Anthem records and the records that Dr. Moss, Gutman, Egan might have still stored away somewhere. You will not find many medical records from back then. The first time they prescribed me albuterol, Dr. Moss, I think it was also along with just amoxicillin, or it could have been that time I was so sick he gave me Levaquin. I can't remember exactly. But pretty sure the Levaquin is what messed with the tendons in my ankles, just like the Vioxx in my kidneys from Dr. Schaus. But I'm no physician. I know after the Vioxx, I had to go to the ER for being so sick. They did a urinalysis because they thought it was drugs. They did find an old prescription of pain medicine in my urine. Because I was in that much agony with my back, apparently from my kidneys leaking protein. A sign of kidney failure. What did Vioxx affect? The heart and the kidneys. Oh well. They're just growing pains, Mr. Horde. Get used to them. Medical fraud, pretty much. It's criminal, not civil. Try to make any prosecutor see that, and they don't have the balls to do anything about it, apparently. No offense. Tea. Like I said, for good tea. Is this honey liquid enough? Yep. For good tea, you always have to start with the cleanest water you can get. Ultra purified, if possible. And I'm going to put some honey in this tea because cough is out of control, but she's had some kind of weird respiratory thing, so I probably just picked it up. And I don't think... Huh? I know. Thank you. Well, I had planned on coming back in there to finish the show. You know how I have my episodes. Putting some delicious sweetened dextromethorphan in my tea as well. I try to ignore medical as much as I can anymore, at least where the pharmaceutical poison is concerned, but the Phenergan dextromethorphan will help with the coughing. And it has a sweet taste, so... I might actually just turn Queer as Folk back on demand. Do you feel any better drinking more water? I notice I feel better.
It all depends, because sometimes when I drink lots and lots of water, I feel really bloated and icky. Not always, but sometimes.
iRobot and the new Scream is on.
Really?
You already ironed your clothes?
No, it's supposed to be in the high 70s tomorrow.
Is it?
Well, next 2 days I think is in the high 70s.
Well, that's interesting. Did you leave those doors open for a reason, or did I?
What doors?
The pantry doors. Well, I know I needed to reset the one. Stupid thing. I accidentally hit my chair against them too hard here one day. Having panic attacks, which no one understands. So it has to be reset. They just sit and rest on the tracks, but somehow I knocked it off of them. But people see it as criminal intent. Who in the hell would want to tear their own shit up? They don't ask that question. They just make assumptions and push it right on through. Especially where healthcare is concerned. Again, as I said, opening a huge liability for the taxpayer, but they don't give a shit. I deserve my own home, without having to put up with someone else's demands of how clean they want it and such. I'm not trying to bitch and say, no, it's not helping me. I'm simply stating. But I didn't work hard enough. Didn't suck enough dick. Didn't get fucked enough. Right. Oh well. Oh, I know what I was going to take. I think I showed it, but actually pretty helpful. And with tea, they'll go perfect. Those pieces of chocolate that you can break in half are huge, way too strong. I don't think I'll do the tincture too. Experimenting with the dosages has been interesting. Like I said, I take that big piece of chocolate, it's scored in half, but how anybody could take half unless they were like bone pain cancer. So 2, 4, 8. I break it into 8 pieces. Like I said, I just like it when the edge is taken off enough that I can like focus on more things than simply trying to control my pain with like the brainwave meditation. Granted, like I said, at least I don't have to get down on all fours to get up and down stairs anymore. But the symptoms are still fairly severe. One of my crosses to bear. Well, and now that it's darker, it's even harder to see. These things are filthy. Ugh, they're clean enough. Actually, no, they're not. Oh, well. People probably think I over-exaggerate on my story. In reality, it's as accurate as it can be to my memory, with the night terrors included, simply to denote the gravity and depravity that medical went to keep, what legal, law, and judicial were doing. Putting someone who has night terrors on a medication that would cause dream disorders is probably not the smartest thing they could have done. At the end of the day, I think, it must be nice to just walk away from all of it instead of sitting here and discussing exactly what happened and the people responsible being forced to, face justice. As I asked, what kind of diseases could that canine have possibly infected me with? Fungal parasites? Well, that would explain a lot of the symptoms, wouldn't it? Oh well. The ringing in my ears. Now it sounds like they're doing. Now it sounds like I'm going through a hearing test. As if people aren't allowed to be non hearing. My God, now it feels like I'm getting a deep tissue abdominal massage. It hurts like hell. Feels like I've had a C section. It's not the cannabis, though. It's eating that spicy food. Tacos. I've always had this problem. Well, it's not quite that bad. It could be too, because I'm laying halfway in the fetal position after eating too much, walking and not drinking enough water. Then again, the bleach did a number. Poisoning did a number. All that good shit. Long before cannabis, I exploded usually. Kelly Cole should have notated it in the documentation. Whether she did is on her. Like I said, Kelly Cole should have the explosiveness documented, as well as Greta Zaba. Whether they did or not is on them. Explosive diarrhea is a symptom of poisoning. But what would I know? It's not that quite that bad nowadays. But the GI damage, the constant inflammation that they notated, causes some issues. Just non-specific inflammatory, just non-specific inflammation, not designated as inflammatory bowel disease. Maybe the smartest thing for me to do would be to donate my body to science for them to study it. A lot of it probably boils down to being brutalized and tortured and such. Apparently, those injuries can cause a host of crazy symptoms all over the body. You know, them not wanting to get caught for the abuse and the child porn and everything else would explain things like the poisoning and hazing, wouldn't it? But it's all chalked up to me just being paranoid. Forgive me for not giving a shit less nowadays.